So let us continue with the R programming. So in these sessions, we'll see the basics idea about the R programming, step by step. How do we use R? What's the application of R and different things which are involved in that? What is R programming? So R programming language and software development for statistical analysis is used for that. For graphical representation and reporting, it's possible by all. Today, in the field of data science and machine learning, statistical model building are is basically used to do all find a solution to all these kind of problems. It was created by Ross Ihaka and Robert Gentleman at the University of Auckland in New Zealand and is currently developed by the R Development Core team. I'll show the website of them where they're using the R programming. It's freely available under the GNU General Public License, and pre-compiled binary versions are provided for various operating systems like Linux, Windows, and Mac. It was named R based on the first letter of first name of two R authors, Robert Gentleman and Ross Ihaka, and as well as it's an extension of a Bell Laboratory Programming Language S. So extension of S is the R. That's why they given the name there. Now R is an interpreter-based language, just like Python. If you know, interpreter-based language is there. You can execute the statement line by line, which contains the branching, decision making, looping, as well as the part which are required to run program language. So as a functions are also present there. Even it allows integration with procedures written in C, C++, .NET, Python, Fortran, like all are possible. It's available as the direct software in the open source fashion, freely available under GNU style copyleft license, an official part of the GNU project also. What is GNU S? Okay. So it was developed by the Ross Ihaka, Robert Gentleman in Department 36 in University of Auckland in 1993. But currently, the large group of individuals have contributed to R by sending a code and the bug reports there. Since mid 1997, there has been a core group called as R core team who can modify the R source code archives. Okay, they are having ability to modify that, and this what we call as a CRAN, Comprehensive R Archive Network. They are holding the current control of R programming language with them. So, what are the features of this language? It is well-defined, simple, effective programming language, includes all conditions, operators, variables, data types, loops, user-defined functions, recursive function, input of facilities to that can use, and based on that we can perform the operation to use any kind of data in it. R is having an effective data handling and storage capability. So six different kind of data structures can be used in R to store the data. It also provides a suite of operator for calculation on arrays, list, vector, matrices. These are the data structures which are used there in the R. It also provides a large, coherent, and integrated collection of tools for data analysis that also we'll talk about step by step. Many are there. Maybe all are not required, which are required for clear and current understanding of R only that we will see. It also provides graphical facilities for data analysis, display either directly at the computer or printing on the paper directly in PDF format and directly in printer. So everything, all these abilities, availability of the processes is possible with the help of the R programming language. Okay. So you can see these are the most widely used statistical programming language when you have to use the statistical operations. So R is used in most of the syllabus of statistics also. You can find R programming language is present and one of the choice of data scientists and supported by vibrant and talented community of the contributors. So to do the analysis, statistical analysis, the R is one of the programming language which is preferred to do the statistical analysis. So as statistical analysis is there, we can create the models of it. We can use the data, we can import data, we can perform the data. And let's see all detailed operations of it. So when you have to install the R programming, so there are two methods generally we follow. R programming language interpreter is different, and R Studio, which is the idea of R, is different. I'll show the official website of R. This. This is the official website of R programming language. R programming I'm talking about, from where the R interpreter can be downloaded like this. Here you can download, install this for Linux. I'm using Linux operating system here. So I don't need to download it. Basically, I'm having a command-based interface by which the R can be downloaded and can be used in my system. So like for Linux, Debian, Fedora, or Ubuntu, we can use for Mac OS, and for Windows, you can go to Windows here and you can download the particular software from R. Here you can see R for the first time. So you can execute or you can download. Basically, it provides only, see, it's an executable file present here, 86 MB, that you can download and we can install in your Windows operating system. Okay. In the same way, we can use for other operating systems also. You can possibly present. It's very clean, simple, plain website is there. Even as I told, it's open source. You can see the source code of it from this location software. The star.gz files are present here. So you can see the source code of it, designed using C, C++ libraries. Okay, here the binaries are there, executable files for all kind of operating systems. You can just download from there. Okay, and packages. Packages is the extra ability which is given to the programming. So most of the time we have to install some extra packages. Maybe for machine learning algorithms, we require some extra packages to work. That I will show you. So there is a command called as install.package. You can see this present here. With the help of extra packages, extra ability to R programming language can be given. So you can download from there. The link you can see, it's there in the chat box. Okay. Now our only basic interpreter will be given to you. So when you install the R programming, so you will get something like this. I'll show you. Okay. So this kind of command-based environment will be given to you. Just check it out. R currently I'm using 3.6 version. Okay. See. And all the license and every kind of information you can. This is a basic terminal that I will get. One simple greater than symbol will be present, and on that you can write your code to execute. So this is my Linux version, but on Windows also you will get the same. Okay, when you install the basic R from the cranrproject.org website, and this is a completely terminal-based interface. Like for example, I need to write the printing the hello world. Just like Python we use. So hello world is printed. Okay, print hello world. Almost 50% syntax of R and Python are similar. Similar. Both are interpreter-based language, and both are having similar kind of abilities to declare variables and use the variables inside the code. See, this is how the print statement are written. When you install the basic R, that case. Okay. Now, when I want to use the R Studio. R Studio is an IDE. Okay, it is an IDE which is not created by the CRAN basically. It's created by some third-party organization. Okay, so that R Studio can also be used. That you can use to perform operations to handle this. Basically, in the current world of computing, we use the IDEs. Okay, we basically prefer the IDEs to run the applications of different kind of programming languages. So R Studio is one of the IDE which we can use today, which is not developed by the CRAN. It is a third-party developer that we have created. So R Studio is free and open source integrated development environment for R programming language for statistical computing and graphics. It was founded by J.J. Allaire, the creator of programming language Cold Fusion. He has created that. They have created the R Studio. It is available in two different editions: R Studio Desktop, and Desktop is regular edition that we are using there. And R Studio Server is also there. Server, you cannot, it's a commercial part actually. You need to purchase the server, which allows R Studio using web browser while it's running a remote Linux server. That's also possible there. Okay, so these distributions are available in Windows, OS X, Mac X, or the Linux flavors also present. Can download the data from this particular project first of all, and R Studio is having their own official website from where the R Studio can also be downloaded. You can just check the website of R Studio. Okay, this is the official website of R Studio. If you want to run practically, so we need to download the R Studio from this website, which is shown over here and posted in the chat box also. Easily make your R and Python code come to life in Tableau. I think they have added recently also. This is what Python and Tableau is also added recently. Because it was used for R only. See that. This is R Studio, and you can download it from here. You can see open source R desktop. You click on that. Here you can see open source edition. You can download the R Studio desktop from here, this location. Many abilities are there. Few abilities are not possible. See this is the free version, remaining others are not. In free version, integrated tools for R can be used, but the extra tool like accessing web browser, priority support, or professional drivers, or what is workbench community, that we cannot access it. Fine. Courier cost is there, but this is free. If you click on that, you can just go below and see the different kind of versions. Okay, different kind of flavors of the different kind of operating system flavors of the RStudio can be downloaded. You can see this link I have posted again in the chat box. So this is your Windows exe file. If I click on this particular file, so directly your RStudio will be downloaded. Fine. Currently I am using this version, Debian. Ubuntu also. Both are Debian actually. Same version that they used. I'm using this one. RStudio of Ubuntu 18 onwards, Ubuntu 20.04 I'm using here. This version I'm using. Once you install that, it will be directly available for us to use as the integrated development environment by which you can interact or write with the R Studio and applications of R step by step. Let's talk about that. How do we use it? So maybe it's not possible to work currently online in the hands-on fashion. Just see that you can see this recording afterwards and you can try by your own. I'll show my RStudio and how to work with the RStudio step by step. Let's see. This is my current environment of RStudio is present. You can just observe. This is RStudio. Once you install the RStudio in your system, so it will be having the graphical interface, something like that, like this. And same kind of data is present over here when you open the basic R and you open this one. So if you press Control L, the screen will be clear. Control L is a shortcut key that I can use to clear the screen in RStudio. So there are four parts of the window are present over here in RStudio. This is the console. The same console that I have shown in the previous slide over there. So here you can type the statement line by line. And this is interpreter based language. We can execute a single line of code also. Can execute a single line of code also using the R programming language. That's what the terminal is presented over here. Console we can say. And along with that, many different things we can see in single picture on the RStudio. What are that? Okay, if you come on this side here below, just observe that here 5 different tabs are there. Here files is current working directory, and their files will be stored. My current directory is my home directory. Whatever the files folder present, they are stored over here. The R program that I will create now, that also will get stored in this current working directory. If you want to see that, I'll just type get wd function here. Get wd will show you the current working directory. My home of my current user will be the current working directory for my R program. So whatever program I will create, that will be stored in this working directory. So see, get wd will show you. Even cwd get c change chwd, that can also be used to change the working directory. We can save the directory also with different name, like that. Here we are having a plot. So we'll see how do we create the plot. So whatever plot you create, that plot will be visible at this particular part. Here at this session. Okay. Then we have packages. Packages are the extra abilities that you provide. We can externally add the packages. So by default, when you install the RStudio for the first time, you will have the system library. This one. They are the basic packages. Package, API, library is a part of every programming language, just like R is also containing that. Extra abilities to the program will be given with the help of these APIs, library, or the packages. So they are present here, and this system library is present. And under that, many different packages are available over here. Okay, they are the base packages. And once you install extra package along apart from that, so you can have another section here, user library. This one. So these packages are installed afterwards, which is not pre-default available. Pre-default only system library was present, user library is added afterwards. Their version, their meaning, everything you can find over here. Then help. Yes, this is very interesting to see the help. So we just can search something, some functions over here. If you want to find the help of a particular function, you can see. For example, I am finding max, maxima and minima. So what's use of max function? You can see this. It's presently available in this. That is max function present. Okay, you can make use of this. And viewer, okay, just we require internet to connect, and if something is not found over here, you can search it over here. Okay, that's it. So these are the main part that we have to understand. Above that, again, four sections are the environment. Environment means in current environment of R, which variables are active, and which data structures, data values are present that we can see in the environment part. Okay, above in the environment here. Then history, the recently executed commands that you can see. Currently, I have executed hello world and get wd. You can see that. Okay, and above that also, whatever commands I have executed, that we can see. Even this can also be saved. Can be saved. Here you can see save option is there. So whatever task we have done, that we can save by using this particular option of save button. Okay. Then connections. We generally don't require when we are handling our studio through our server. Our server, just like you have seen the version of it, and you have to connect the R server, so you can use these connections over there. That's not required. Tutorial, you can see different kind of tutorials from the R Studio. Fine. So three sections we will see. Along with that, one more section is present above. Basically, it's not by default present here. If you go to file and when you create a new R script, file, new file R script. When you click on that, see, in this way, a new file will be created. This is your editor window. This is the editor window where we can type the program and you can execute that particular program also. Okay, we can type the program and you can execute the program at that location, from that location also. Okay, take this. Okay, fine. This is the editor window where you can type the code and you can execute that. Here you can see the options, run source. And in case of R, your program is having the extension .r. .r will be the extension just like other language. For C programming, you have .c. C++, you have CPP. For Java, we have Java extension. For Python, we have Py extension. For R, we have R extension to the respective code. Remember that we have to provide explicitly when you're saving the file. I'll show how to save that particular file there. Okay, so this is how the complete ID is present. Let's see how do we use the respective ID now. Okay, see, so whatever you type, as I have told that R is the interpreter-based programming language. So we can execute the code step by step, line by line, using the console which is shown over here also. See, the first code when you start learning, we print the hello world. I have seen that already. So print hello world, just like in Python also same statements are present. You can see hello world printed on the screen here. Okay, and likewise many such line by line execution is possible. We can proceed further to write this code. And this is the first method, means you can write the code in the console format, step by step. And you can write the program in editor format, so you can go above at this part here in this section. You can see the window is open. This is a blank window is present. There you can write the code. So let's write print hello world. So automatic suggestion will be given to you. That's the advantage of using ID. And if one more statement I want, you can write print goodbye. That's it. Program started, program ended. Okay. And here you can see the untitled name is there, untitled, this one. Okay. So it means that the program has not given the title. So I just can save that by using Control S option. When you press Control S, a window will get open. It's not visible to you, I think. So you have to specify the name to the particular program there. Okay, you can see this. This is what the hello.r name is appeared over here now. Hello.r, right? Now I want to execute this particular program. So what I'll do, I'll use a run option here, but run is used to execute the current line only. See, run, run. So only one by one line will get executed with the help of the run option that you can do run. Okay. Along with that, we are having one more option present there. I'll clear the screen. Let us see this. There is one more option present, source. We click on the source, so the whole line will be executed at once, at a time. That's what is the source function. Source is to execute the whole program at a time, and we will see the output of printable statement on the screen. Only printable statements. Fine. That's how it is possible. So source is used to run the whole code, and run is to execute only single line of execution over there. That's it. This is what the basics of the RStudio that we need to understand, that we need to know about this thing. Now let's take a simple and basic overview of different kind of programming constructs that we use into the R programming with the R basics. Yeah, basics of R. Okay, command that we have seen the script file also. Now, the every aspect of programming, as we have seen, is possible in R. So, just like other interpreter-based languages, the command that we use in R are starting with the hash. They will start with the hash, and in front of that, we are giving any statement, so they will be enclosed, or they will be ignored by the interpreter basically. So, they will not be checked for any kind of error in it. I think that's what we call as a command in hash. Now, are objects. Object is something which is called as collection of different kind of data. That's just like a data structure we use. So every programming language can have data structures like arrays or structures or tuples, vectors are there. They're collection of elements. So in R, we are having some n number of different kind of objects present. So in common, 6 different kind of objects are present that we can use. But to understand the object, we need to understand the data type first. What type of data we can use inside the R? So there are commonly 6 core data types are present that we can use to store the data inside it. 6 types. Let's see which type of data we can store in R. Data types in general which are used. Let us see that. So we'll go with the line itself, using the console itself. Now, for example, if I'm storing a data, x is equal to 2, all in capital, make sure, all in capital, x is equal to true. And if I want to see the data type of this x, I can use a class variable. So it's logical, false and true. Boolean value we call in general. So these values can be stored in a variable, and that variable is a logical kind of variable. That's, you can see, class of x. First kind of value that we can store in the data. Now, second kind of value is called as, okay, it's a number kind of format that I can store. One more method that we can follow over here to store the data is the arrow. So both are same actually. Whenever you use the equality symbol, equal sign, or if you use the array, whatever, both are same. Even you can use inverse method also. Like this 2. That's also great. This method also we can use any one of that. But generally, if you are having a practice of using equality sign, you can use equality sign. And in general, standard method which are using R, they are using the first arrow, that is the left arrow, to store the data. Most of the books or most of the program that you find on net, they are following this particular method there. The logical type first. Second is number. That is called as numeric type of data. Numeric type of data. Class means it's just like just to check what type of data is there. Generally, in R, everything is the object. So what is the class of that particular data that we can see? If X is the object, so what's the class of it that we can find? That's by class function. Just like a type function we use in Python to check the data type of a variable, here we are using a class function. So what's the class it carries? Using the class function to check what type of data is present inside it. Okay, that's what the class. So let's see 17.34 is the floating point value, but there is only data type called as float in R. It's containing a numeric type. So whether you use this value in this way, then also it is numeric. The number which is containing a dot or not will be considered as a numeric type of data, the second type of data that we use in R programming. The third is integer. So for integer, we need to write L at the end. See that? L. L means long number. Long, that we can say. That's why long means, maybe in C, if you know, long numbers are of 32 bits. Okay, 32, or in Java, they are 64 bits. So that's what the number abilities are there. But long numbers are not containing a dot, not containing a decimal point there. This is the third kind of data I can store, is an integer inside the variable X. Okay. Next is the X is equal to 4.9 plus 6.7i. This is called as the complex kind of data. Okay, only two programming languages are there, Python and R, which contain the complex kind of data here. But whenever you are doing the complex arithmetic, that time only the complex type of data can be used. Else it is not much required for data analytical operation there. Fourth type of data. Now fifth one. Okay, you may have understood that. It is character. Just like a string data we use in other programming languages, here it is called as a character. Okay, collection of different kind of characters. Collection of different kind of characters in the string format is called as a character type of data. See that? And the last one, the sixth one, is raw data, where it store the data into the what can say ASCII value format. ASCII valued format. That is, can say X is equal to so this is what raw kind of data is there. Raw. What is containing? See this one. It contains the hexadecimal equivalent of ASCII value of every letter. H48, E55, L6C, L6C, and O6F. Raw data. It's not required, but out of all the data types, we frequently use numeric, integer, and character, and sometimes logical also. Okay. But remaining complex and raw, they are not basically required or not basically used in any kind of data analytical operation there. So try to remember this. This is what the six type of data that we use inside the R programming language. And operations are same. All kind of operators that we can apply, all kind of functions, all kind of operation that you have to do onto it, that also possible as it is. Now, what about the data structures? What data structure we use? Every programming language contains a data structure. See, data structure is way of organization of the data into the variable there. Okay, we talked about the raw already. Raw is a hexadecimal representation of every character's ASCII value. Okay, by knowing ASCII value, and their ASCII values are mentioned there. Like ASCII value of H is 48. 48 hexadecimal is there. Like what? Everyone's ASCII value is stored in sequence. That is what the raw data is there. We call it byte kind of data present in this. Now let's talk about the R objects. R programming, the very basic data types are called as vectors. Object are the data structures actually, where we store the data into the collection formats. As I told, R is basically used for machine learning and data science application design, statistical. So we have to store it in the collection format. So to store the data into the collection format, the R objects are required. So as I told, 6 different kind of objects are there, which we use to store the data into the collection format. Okay, so few of them are very regularly required. So 6 are there. The first is vector, second is list, third is matrix, then factors, data frames. Okay, and arrays. This 6 type of data is stored into the collection format using the R programming language. Out of it, we'll see one by one. The first is the vector. Vector is just like a collection of similar kind of data. Vector is a collection of similar kind of data. So when you create a vector with more than one element, we should use a C function, combine function to do so. Let us see that. So first data structure is a vector. So for example, if I use declare like this, V is equal to C of C is a combine. This part of the vector is a collection of similar kind of data. Just like array in C and C++ is present, it's a vector over here. Okay. Collection of similar kinds of data is called as a vector. Fine, the first one. And make sure similar kind of data means it's similar. Compulsory, that's similar. See that if I mention like 9.7. So all other data will be converted, will got converted into the floating point, that is numeric format. Numeric we'll talk about. That's the numeric data type that we are having in R programming language over here. Correct. Vector. Now the second type of data, we call it as the list. List is a data which contains these dissimilar data elements, just like list in Python. Dissimilar data elements are there. Okay, let us see. L is equal to list of, if I create L. So how I have created the L? By using the list function. It's possible to create the respective variable of type list. Okay, check this. Created like that. Yes. So second type is list, which is contains dissimilar kind of data. Inverse of the vector is a list. So list function is used to create that list. The third is called as matrix. Matrix in common we call as a two-dimensional vector. Let's create it. M is equal to matrix, okay, of some data like C of, where you apply n rows, like I want how many number of rows there, and row equal to 2, for example, and you can see this. Matrix is a two-dimensional data containing same kind of data type in it. So matrices, you can see 1 comma and comma 1 is mentioned. So this method we use to access. For example, I want to access the 7. So 1 comma 2, like I can use this method. So see this, M of 1 comma 2. This we access. This is called a matrix, and matrix also contains the same kind of data inside. It's an extension of vector. Vector is one dimension and matrix is of two dimension. That's what the difference present between the matrix and the vector over here. Next, array. Array, when you describe the matrix, they are having two dimensions, but arrays can have any number of dimensions. Array concept can have any number of dimensions in it. And the dimensions vector is called as the array. N dimension vector is called as the array over here. Remember that. Okay. Let us see the array. A is equal to array of, okay, the same terminology I will use above, from above. Is array argument is not required. Just like a vector is created here, we need to apply the dimensions to it. Equal to Here, I want dimension 2 by 2. Likewise, nth dimension is also possible over there. That also we can try. Just wait for a minute. Okay, so array is the n-dimensional array. Means n-dimensional array can be created with the help of the array concept. That is the fourth type of data. Fifth one is very interesting. It is called as factors. Factors is just like a set. Means only distinct or unique values can be stored inside the respective factors there. Let us see this. I write the factor method here. If I use something like x is equal to p of okay, and f is equal to factor of x and t. So these are the values present in it, and it contains some labels. Labels means which values are uniquely present inside that are stored inside the labels there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. They are repeated, but distinct values, unique values are there, which you can say that's called as the factor, the fifth data structure present in that. And the last one is interesting, and that is regularly required for operations on data analytics. And that data structure is called as a data frame. Data frame. What is data frame? Data frame are the tabular data objects. When you have to store the data into the tabular format, we'll be using the data frame there. Unlike a matrix data frame, each column can contain different modes of data. Different modes of data. The first column can be numeric, while the second column can be character, and third column can be logical. Table, just think about a table. So if you want to create a table, we'll be using a data frame to perform this respective operation there. It is what we say, it's a list of vectors of equal length. List of vector of equal length, like in the column format it is stored. And there's a function called a data frame, which is used to create the data frame objects over there. Let us see how to do this one. And in data analytics, we are using, in machine learning also, we are using very commonly this one to store the data and use this data ahead. Let us see, for example, I want to store the information about the students. Okay, I'll be using a data frame. Df is equal to data dot frame. I have not continued, I have not completed it. I will be continuing it there. Let's see roll number. I created, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I'm giving the names. Name is equal to C of. We like these three names I mentioned, and then marks. Marks is equal to C of, again, different marks. Okay, see this. Now, roll number, name, and marks. This three are created. I'll just finish it and see the data frame. Okay. Data.frame is a function which is used to create. And when you import the data, that time also, we can use the data in this respective format. Okay. When the data is in CSV file, Excel file, we are reading it, and that data will be stored into data frame format here. Many functionalities, application on the data frame is possible. Many functions are present, many uses, methods that we can apply onto the data frame step by step. This is the next type of variable or next type of data object that we have. The 6 type of objects that are possible. Out of it, 2 objects can be very regularly applying this. First is vector. We store the same kind of data, and the second one is the data frame. We store the data into the tabular format, which is what we call a list of vectors of equal length. Is present that is can be used in this way. So we'll see that when you import the data, then how do we manipulate that particular data in different ways, and how to handle that particular data also step by step. Okay, let's take an overview of R as a programming language. See, so some concept that we need to know, we need to understand about the R programming language are like variable. What is variable? Variable provides us with a name storage that our program can manipulate. We are having a variable inside that we store the values. It's a variable. So variable can store atomic vector, group of vector, combination of any R objects together. That variable name can be anything, just like every programming language contains, we have a letters, uppercase, lowercase. R is the case sensitive language where the data can be stored in lowercase and uppercase separately. We can have dot operator also and underscore operator also. Sorry, dot as a variable also and underscore also as a variable there. So dot is also special symbol which is applicable in the variable name. Okay, that's we can use. And to print something on the screen, we will be using the functions like print and cat. Let us see how do we use the print and cat function, which we basically apply in almost every kind of R program over there. Let us see. Okay, to declare the variables, we use, okay, we have already seen that, for example, v is equal to something 56, I mentioned, then x is equal to 57, I mentioned, and we have to print this variable. I'll be using the print function over there. We print the value of variable on the screen. We can perform the operation on them also, like result is equal to x plus v, and then we can print this v on the screen, sorry, result on the screen. Like that. This is a variable declared. We are using this value of printing it. But if I want to print multiple values on the screen, so print cannot do. Print can print only single value on the screen, single value. But if I want to print from n number of values on the screen, so we'll be making use of a cat function, very commonly used kind of function that we apply over here. See, I use cat, the result is, and then comma, result I apply like this, cat. But print cannot be used. Print will print only single print on the screen. See that? Fine. There is a function called as read line. Read line. Like x is equal to read line. It will read a line, like let's say 45. Between this x will be stored inside it. See that? Or if I write like this, read line, enter the number. It will ask to enter the number. Just like input function we are having in Python, in R we have the read line function, by which you can read the content from the user and you can store it in a variable. 89, it will be 89. But remember, again, where the data that we have read, it is in the string format. If you want to convert that into the integer format or any specific format, you can use as function for that, as dot. Okay. So for as dot, there are some n number of functions present. If I want this value to be in as dot numeric format, as dot numeric, and parameter is this one. So if I print 45, x will be numeric now. If this is the class of x, it will be numeric. As dot numeric, read line, enter the number. So it will print this message on the screen and will provide like this. Okay. And check class is numeric. So it's a 45 is numeric. Likewise, if you want to read other character value we don't require anything for Boolean value, logical values. If you want to use for complex values, if you want to use for the integer values, we have tried as dot that function name over there. So this is the way by which you read the data from the user and you can perform the operation. For example, I want to do the addition of two different numbers. So I'll go here in the source and here I'll write these statements. Enter the number. The first number I'm reading and storing into the x variable. Then I'll read the second number that I'll store into y variable and result x plus y and we'll catch it. Addition is comma. So I have saved that and I'll click on a source. See, executed 56, 44, addition is 100. Take it. This is a common way by which you can read the data from the user and you can perform the operation to do the addition of two different numbers, by which you can read the data from the user using read line and perform the operation. This is the first function. Second function is also there, which is used to read the data in the collection format. For collection format, we are using the data like this. N is equal to, let's say I included 5 numbers and what kind of, so I need to use the numeric data. Uh, 56, 12, 55, 18, read 5 times and these numbers are read. Now I want to read a number and store in a vector like this. Scan file element what? Numeric type of data. So 90, 12, 45, 33, 76. Read 5 times and read B. This scan function is used to read the data and store it into the vector format that I can use. And in this way, I can initialize a vector also. This is an interesting method by which you initialize the vector by taking the input from the users. Okay, then by taking the input from the users that you can perform the operations with. These are the common methods by which you can read data from user. You can perform the operations on it. Now I have used one operation here, that is operator is applied, and that operator was addition operator. But apart from that, if you want to use any other operators, they are also possible. So just check it out. Operators are like arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, assignment operator, miscellaneous, which is other. And very interesting to see that this operator works on the collection of data also, that they works on the data structures also. Whatever data structures we have, on all of the data structure, they will effectively work and generate the results accordingly. Like, see the example. I'll not show on practical part here. You can see this. First, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or all. See this. Two vectors are taken, and then I use plus. Plus 1:1 addition is done there. 1:1. First element to first, second to second, third to third, fourth to fourth. And very interesting to see and know that in R programming, the indexing of any element start from 1, not from 0. Means in a vector that we use, the first element is one element, 1, v of 1, square bracket 1 you have to mention, and 0 is not present. So this is the only programming language where indexing start from 1, not from 0. Because it is not invented by computer programmer, it is invented by statistician. So they don't think that 0 is the first number, first index, so they start with the 1. Okay, remember that. These are relational operators that we can use on the vector of elements. Logical operators. Relational means you are taking comparison of all. Logical means you are just making a logical ANDing, logical ORing on that. That's possible. And assignment also we have seen. Assignment. See, these assignment operators can also be applied. And miscellaneous are just like we can perform the operation to handle. Now, one interesting thing to note that in R also we are having a decision making statement. Initially, I have told about the same. Decision making statements are possible and present there in the R programming that we can use. Just like if else statement can apply. See this if else. Take the example of if else here that we can apply. If and else are also possible. See the example of if else is mentioned here. Okay, we generally don't require as a part of programming, but being a programming language, we can use it. Even switch statement is also possible that we can use, but very rarely applied. Along with that, R contains three different kind of loops: repeat loop, while loop, and for loop. Repeat is one of the loop which does not contain any kind of condition there. Infinite kind of loop is present that R is having. And along with that, while loop, which is a universal loop in programming, is a repeat statement. Yeah, is a repeat statement where repeat and perform the operation to execute that. It is an infinite loop. We need to explicitly add the condition to break the loop over there. Okay, and along with that, we have while loop, which is the universal loop, we can say. It is while. While count is less than 7, print b, count is equal to count plus 1. Exact same method we use in other languages also. Universal loop is there, which contains only conditions, and accordingly it will produce the result of it. So while loop that you can. And for loop is similar to the loop which you use for in Python programming language. Even some extension in Java is also possible. In Java also same way the loop can be used. Okay, it works on a collection of elements. From that collection of elements, you will take one by one element and perform the operation there. So basically, from a data analysis or statistical modeling point of view, we don't require this loop. But to understand the R as a programming language, we need to know, we need to remember the meaning of that loops. Maybe in some case, we may require this particular loop for performing the respective operations ahead. Okay, that's what how the for loop can be used. Yeah. Okay, along that we have break statement. Break statement is used to break the loop immediately upon some condition satisfied. You know that in every language the break statement is present. So just like repeat loop I'm using over here. Under the repeat, printed, see this print, then count incremented, and if count is greater than 5, I'm breaking it. Break. Exactly same way break is present in C, C++, Java, and Python. R also contains it. PHP, JavaScript also contains the same break statement. And we have a continue statement also. Continue is not the name used over here. In R, continue statement is named as next statement. Next. Okay. The next statement in R programming language is useful when we want to skip the current iteration of the loop without terminating it. Okay, so on encountering the next statement, the R skip the current iteration and continue the next iteration. That's what the meaning of next is. But every language, every other language, the name is called as continue, which is not there in R. We call it as a next statement. Okay, for see this one. Now, The next can be used as skipping the D only. Okay. So whenever the D is present, it will skip that. Okay. So to skip the current iteration of the loop, we will be making use of the respective method over there. Take this. Next statement that we can apply. Yes, so in Python, it's also possible to create the functions. Function is like it's a collection of n number of statements. With the help of these particular statement, we can perform the operation to handle the data effectively. Okay, n number of statements are there. That's possible. That can be applied. That can be used further. Okay, to have the data operation common in this. Okay, so functions can be of two types. We can have the function which are user defined, or we can have the function which are system defined. Every programming language contains the system defined functions in it. For example, see this. This is my vector which I just created by taking the user input over here. And I want to do, or I want to perform the operation, some summary statistical operations onto it. Okay, summary statistics operations. So I can use the direct functions on a direct function I can apply on this particular data. So let's see how to do this. For example, sum of me. Okay. Addition of all elements are done. Mean, max, mean, median, the middlemost element. After sorting which element comes at the center, what is it? This is what descriptive statistics function that we can apply. Standard deviation, SD. Same function there in Python also. His name is std, but here is SD. Type. Many such functions are possible that we can use. We can perform the operations of summary statistics on this. These are the predefined functions which we can use. Even we can make use of some functions which are which we can define, but generally we don't require any function to work with. Again, if I integrate a sequence of elements, I can make use of a colon operator there. And this from 3 to 12. I want to create a sequence from 3 to 12. This colon operator can be used, or there is one more function that I can use there, just like a range function, if you know in Python is present. Sequence 3 to 12. The same output is there. That function can be applied. These are the functions which are predefined, which are already present in our data, and we can use this function to perform the operation. They are the common methods, common things that we need to know, remember about the programming language. Let's go with one important concept which we call as the data visualization. If I want to visualize this particular data, so which kind of graphics in our programming language? How exactly it is pre-built, and what's the use of the graphics programming in the R? So we call them as the different kind of charts, different kind of graphs, different kind of commonly used graphs are present, which are possible to use from the in the R programming language. So which are that we will see. See the graphics in R. So basically, in the statistical learning also we told about it. When you are doing the exploratory data analysis, we have to explore the data. Okay, so we have to find novel insights from respective data. What pattern is present? What kind of thing is present inside the data? So that can be found with the help of visualization. So for visualization, by default in R, there's a package present, and that is called as the graphics. Name is graphics itself. Okay, so that package can be used to do the coding, to design the different kind of applications which graph will be used over there. Now, what are the different graphics? What different graphs are present? Let's see. See, commonly charts are there, but it's not limited with the same. It's not limited with the same. So commonly used kind of graphs that we know that we are seen over here. Pie charts, we will talk about that. How do I use it? The bar charts, box plots, histograms, line graphs, scatter plots. These are the kind of plot that we can use in R. They contain the pre-defined, pre-built functions by which this graph can be created. Okay, many pre-built functions are there that we can apply. With the help of these, graphs can be created. Let's see about them. But along with that, it contains many different libraries by which the graphs are possible. See this. There's a website where which you can see all kind of graphs present. This is the website like this. What are the different kind of graphs that we can use inside the R that can be shown that are available on this particular website? You can see this. What are the graphs present? Kind of graphs, Volume plot, density, histogram, box plot, ridgeline, and many more are there. This is the kind of graph that we can create. Many are there, not many. This is the R graph gallery website from where the graphs, different libraries from the graphs can be drawn. But let's talk about the common kind of graph that we can create over here. See this. The first is pie chart. Pie charts are used to show the share of the data from the whole, means after all, what's the share present. So pre-built functions are there to show the graph. So most of the time, you have to learn from the data. You have to visualize the data. So we'll be making use of this particular graph so much effectively. Let's see the first one, pie chart. So to use the pie chart, the functions pi is used. Where we apply the x, we apply the labels, we apply the radius, we apply the mean, and many more. Many different parameters are there. Within a single function, every kind of visualization is possible. All parameters, properties that we can apply, and we can create the respective visualization method over there. Let's see how do we perform the operation. For example, see this. I have a data V present here, and I want to visualize this V and to apply the labels. Means 90 is a value, share by first, 12 is the share by second, 45 is the third, 33, then 76. That is shares given by different kind of department, different kind of classes, for example. So let us see that. I'll create one more vector over here. X is equal to P of the A, B, C, D, and E. Now I want to show the pie chart. So I'll be using pie function, pie of V, and it contains the labels field. Labels equal to X. And see this one. At this window, on plot window, we can see the graph is created. And many more properties are there that we can apply. Just like the function syntax I have shown, there it contains many different properties that we can create. So 90 is A, highest share is from A, okay, here. Then 12 is B, this is 12. Then C, D, E, like all. So pie chart will show you the perfect share of the whole data at a time. So like this, it's possible to visualize and view. And the graph that you create over here, that can be saved easily on the, see here you can see export option is there. We can save it as the image, or you can save as a PDF. The graph which is created over here. Many abilities are there that we generally don't require, but these graphs are by default available. Export, save as image, or we can save it as a PDF file also. Or you can copy the clipboard, means when control C like kind of things that we can use, and we can save it to perform the further operations. Okay, like that. That's what the plot is there. Even if you use this save image of as option present over here also, that also we can find. Okay, that we can use it there. We can zoom it. Complete new window is open. Maybe it's not visible to you. Okay, likewise, the pie charts can be created. Okay, even it contains 3D pie charts also. That's all pie 3D function is present by which you can do. The second kind of plot we use is a bar plot. Bar plot. So just I want to show this data into the bar format. So you can use the function what is bar plot there. Let us see this bar plot function. Bar plot, and use this same data V. And this is what we have having X axis. Data which is present on the X axis. Is there V, and I need to assign the name to it is as X. Bar plot. These are the names on the axis. A, then B, C, D. So A is containing 90 here, then B, then C, D, E, like all. So this is how the bar plot can be there. So again, comparison of different kind of data can be done with the help of bar plot. The next one is the box plot. Box plot shows the data into the box. Per box means it's like data distribution format. Range, lower to maximum, center, like all this kind of data can be shown with the cover box plot. See this box plot on the V data. See, this is the box plot. See, this is the minimum value. I think it is 12 here. See, and this is the maximum value, which is that 90 here. And this is the median value, 45 is the median value. Okay, this value is 76, which is the third quartile value, and this value is what's it, 33 here, which is the first quartile value, like all. Data distribution into the box format can be seen with the help of a box plot that we can create. Along with that, we are having one more graph called as a histogram. For example, I am creating a vector P is equal to C of, so different data is required, that's why I'm creating a different vector there. Frequency of the data can be visualized with the help of the histogram. Hist of D. If you see this, frequency means from 20 to 30, one element is there, 30 to 41 is there, 40 to 50, two elements are there, 50 to 60, two elements are there, 60 to 70, three are there, 70 to 81, 80 to 91, like frequency plot, frequency distribution that we can do with the help of a concept called as histogram, and many such abilities are present with the histogram. Next is the line plot. If you just write plot, see scatter plot, scatter plot. So this is the first element, then second, this is 90, this is 12. You can see first value is 90, second value is 12, third value is 45. Next value is this. What is that? 33. 40, 33. This is the last value is 76. This is 45. Like all. This is called as a scatter plot. You can just uh, create one data against another data. For example, if I am having one more vector, y is equal to p of 4. And if you plot v against y, now see, v on the x-axis, y on the y-axis, and accordingly their data distribution can be seen. Okay, this is what we call as the scatter plot. But like that, I can use another kind of plot also. It's called as the line plot. Line plot. So line plot is like this plot. Just put the type is equal to L, line plot that is visible. So in this way, the line plot can be created. So you can just make use of line plot to visualize the data by using this particular. The line will be there, line will be plotted, and you can see. So not only that, I can have the line plot in the V fashion. See, 45, sorry, 90, then 12, 45, 33, and 76. How the visualization is there, or you can see Y. Here is the Y's predictions. Line is whatever plots are there, whatever data is present, it is visualized in the form of a line plot. So they are connected, these points are connected by the line. These points are connected by the line. This is called as a line plot. So these are the common visualization methods, common graph or common graphics method that we can use here in the R programming, and with the help of it, these graphs are possible to create. Basic graphics methods are possible. Now, along with the graphics method, there are some packages present which we can use to perform the operation to visualize the data particularly. Here, the graphics method, which is by default available, R graphics package. Internally, that we are having all the graphic methodology that is possible to apply there. Along with that, there is one more package. You can see the name here, ggplot2. ggplot, one of the most popular package of visualization in R present there. It is used to create elegant data visualization using the grammar of graphics. Using the grammar of graphics, this visualization can be created, and ggplot2 is used to create more interactive graphics than the common core graphics available into the R programming language. These functions are present. The presentation which I have shown to you, I'll share that with you. One last topic, data interfaces. What are the data interfaces present? What's the use of it? How do we apply and make use of the particular data inside the R that will be in a short. See, particularly data interface. So whenever you are building a statistical model and you have to build the data analysis model, or you have to build the statistical learning model, machine learning model, we require a previous data. That data is present in different kind of files. Most commonly, most probably, the data that we use in a programming is stored into a file format called as a CSV file. Comma separated values files are there. And these CSV files or Excel files or any other file can be imported inside the code by using the R. So in R, we can read the data from file stored outside the R environment. Okay, we can import for data importing. We are importing. So we can also write the files which will be stored and accessed by the operating system. That's possible. R can read and write into various file formats like CSV, Excel, XML. All of these file formats are applicable. We can use, but more commonly we use the data into the CSV file format over there. So let's see how do we perform the data import or data interfaces with the help of a particular file. I'll show you one simple example. I'm having a simple data file with me here. See that CSV file. CSV is very commonly used file. In tomorrow's session also, we'll talk about the CSV files and building the models based on them. See that if you go to the files here at this particular location, this is the current working directory. So I have saved many CSV files present here. See, if we come below here, I'm having a file student.csv. See this file. You can view this file. You can see this is the CSV file, comma separated values. But basically, this file will get opened using the Microsoft Excel. Your spreadsheet program opens this respective file. Okay, like that. And most of the time, when you use the data inside the data model creation, the data is present in structured format and they follow the CSV file format over there. They follow the CSV file format. So in such cases, in the CSV file format, we can read with the help of a function called as read CSV. See that? File is present in current working directory, right? Now I'll open that. df is equal to read dot CSV. This is used to read the CSV file from the current working directory. So let's use it there. Student.csv. Right. The file is present in my current working directory. I have read that and stored in a data frame. df. There's a variable there, and you can see this. Complete data which was present inside the file. CSV file is read. And we can use it to perform any analytical operations on it. So many such CSV file, Excel file, we are having the read function to do so, and data is read and stored into the data frame format, where we can see we can perform any analytical operations on it. Like for example, read dot. You can see many functions are there. These are the read function, read files, and along with that, Excel is not present there. But for Excel, you have to install the Excel package. XLSX package is there that will be installed, and after that only data reading, data interfacing inside the R programming code is possible. That you have to use it. See, so I've read the data. Along with that, you can do any kind of operation. For example, I want to see dimension of this data. In dimensions, so how many dimensions are, means how many rows and how many columns are present inside it. If I want to see the first 5 entries, 6 entries from the same head, see that we can find. Or if you want to access a specific column from this particular data, so I can use a dollar operator for this thing. Dollar, and you can see. I want to access all the names of the student, so you can access like that. Okay. Dollar operator is used. Head function is to see the head of the data or dimensions of it, or many such kind of tasks are possible. See, I want to do operation like I want to extract the information about the student who are having the first class. So there's a function called as subset. Apply the data frame, and after that you have to make use of a second parameter as a function. Okay, so which function you have to apply? Like where the marks are greater than 60. Their information is extracted only. Subset. Likewise, many such pre-built functions to do the data processing, data analytics on the data frame kind of object are possible. You can just make use of them. You can extract it, and I want to store this data. See, I have subset is extracted. I can store that in another new DF, for example, data frame, and I want to save this file. So I can use write .csv, data export, which file? Output.csv, for example. Here is the file name. In this file, I want to store the new data frame. So you can see again, this file will be stored into output.csv, maybe it's created above. Here is that output.v file. See this. The data is stored into another CSV file present here. This is how the data interface is possible. For every machine learning algorithm or statistical modeling algorithm, we have to import the data, interface the data, and after that we will perform the operation to build the model on the respective data there. Okay. So this is the way that we build the model. We perform the operation of building every different kind of models ahead, and sorry, different kind of operation that we have seen. We have seen the basic introduction to the R programming language today. In tomorrow's session, we will see different kind of machine learning model, statistical model building also step by step, and we'll see how to we evaluate or analyze this particular model sequentially ahead. So that's from today's session. If you have any questions or any kind of doubts, so you can ask. It's open for you now.